In life, we often face adversity, discomfort, and change. But just like nature, these challenges are working in our favor, pushing us to grow. Imagine your mind as a landscape, periodically cleansed and renewed, much like a forest after a fire. The mountain you face is not just an obstacle outside of you, but often a reflection of internal conflicts and needs. Today, we'll explore how to turn self-sabotage into self-mastery and why your mountain is the path to your destiny. Nature teaches us that growth happens at the edges, where climates meet, where forests burn and regrow, where volcanoes erupt and stars collapse. Similarly, human transformation occurs when we reach our limits and are forced to regroup. The breakdown is often the tipping point before the breakthrough. Embrace the idea that imperfection is not failure, but a sign of untapped potential. Your mountain is proof that you still have more to become. Maybe you know what your mountain is: addiction, relationships, motivation, or money. Or maybe it's a vague sense of anxiety or low self-esteem. The mountain is often less a challenge in front of us and more a problem within us. Chronic problems reflect the reality of ourselves, shaped by years of tiny traumas and coping mechanisms. Facing your mountain is the only path to freedom and becoming the person you're meant to be. Triggers reveal wounds, and wounds show us our path. When you reach the breaking point, the foot of your mountain, the heat of the fire, the night that wakes you, you are at the crux of transformation. Your old self can no longer sustain the life you want. It's time for reinvention and rebirth. Release your old self into the fire of your vision, mourn the loss, and become one with your future self, the hero who will lead you onward. Nothing holds you back more than yourself. If you consistently meet resistance, pain, and discomfort when trying to close the gap between where you are and where you want to be, self-sabotage is at work. It's not always obvious. It's often a coping mechanism, a way to unconsciously meet needs you don't believe you can handle. Overcoming it requires deep psychological excavation, releasing unprocessed emotions, and reinventing your self-image. Self-sabotage is not always obvious at first. Sometimes it manifests as resistance to things we actually want. Carl Jung's childhood neurosis, for example, was an unconscious way to avoid school. Many of our fears and attachments are symptoms of deeper issues for which we lack better coping strategies. Self-sabotage is often a substitute for legitimate suffering, a way to avoid confronting what truly needs healing. Self-sabotage is a coping mechanism. Sometimes we sabotage relationships because we fear being alone. Sometimes we sabotage professional success because we crave creative expression. Sometimes we avoid feelings by psychoanalyzing them instead of experiencing them. These behaviors are not solutions. They are ways to numb desires and provide temporary relief. True healing requires addressing the underlying needs. Self-sabotage often comes from irrational fears. These fears can be abstract, like the idea of being disliked or losing control. We project real fears onto unlikely scenarios, creating safe avenues to express feelings without real risk. If you're afraid of being a passenger in a car, the real issue might be a loss of control. Fixing surface problems won't work. You need to heal the wound beneath. Your self-concept is built from lifelong influences: parents, peers, experiences. Negative associations between goals and self-image can block progress. For example, if you associate financial stability with negative traits, you'll resist having money. To overcome this, challenge pre-existing beliefs and adopt new, empowering ideas. Human beings naturally resist the unknown, even if it's positive. Self-sabotage is often a product of unfamiliarity. Anything foreign feels uncomfortable until it becomes familiar. This discomfort is often confused with being wrong or bad. Everyone has a tolerance for happiness, known as the upper limit. When circumstances exceed this limit, we unconsciously bring ourselves back to what's comfortable. What you believe about your life shapes your reality. Outdated narratives and limiting beliefs can keep you stuck. Maybe you believe you're only capable of a certain salary, or you identify as an anxious person. Sometimes, beliefs are adopted to keep yourself safe, preferring comfort over vulnerability. Healing requires changing your mindset and becoming conscious of negative beliefs. To truly change, you must stop being in denial about your life. Get real with yourself. Write down everything you're unhappy with, every problem you face. Clarity is the first step. You can choose to make peace or commit to change, but lingering in denial keeps you stuck. The greatest act of self-love is refusing to accept the life you're unhappy with. Rock bottom is often where healing begins. It's not a magical epiphany, but a declaration. I never want to feel this way again. This becomes the foundation for transformation. When habits compound and coping mechanisms spiral out of control, you're finally faced with yourself. Change happens when staying the same becomes less comfortable than embracing the climb. Healing means your life will change, sometimes drastically. Your new life will cost you your old one. Comfort zones, relationships, being liked and understood. But what you lose is only what was built for a person you no longer are. Releasing attachment to your old life is the first act of true change. Prepare to build a new comfort zone around what moves you forward. When you habituate yourself to actions that move your life forward, you call them skills. When they hold you back, you call them self-sabotage. Both are essentially the same function. Sometimes habits are accidental, but often they are designed by your subconscious to meet unfulfilled needs. Overcoming self-sabotage starts with understanding why those impulses exist. Self-sabotage is when you have two conflicting desires, one conscious, one unconscious. You know how you want to move forward, but something keeps you stuck. Big ongoing issues are often not problems, but attachments. People do what they're compelled to do, even if it's self-defeating. The question is, why? Understanding your true motivations is key. Self-sabotage can look different for everyone, but common signs include resistance, hitting your upper limit, uprooting, perfectionism, limited emotional processing, justification, disorganization, attachment to outdated goals, judging others, pride, guilt of succeeding, fear of failing, downplaying achievements, unhealthy habits, being busy, spending time with the wrong people, and worrying about irrational fears. Resistance is what happens when you can't bring yourself to do something new or important. It's not procrastination or indifference. It's a warning sign that something isn't quite right. Releasing resistance requires refocusing, identifying unconscious beliefs, and stepping back into the work when inspired. Wanting is the entryway to showing up after resistance. Everyone has a threshold for happiness, the upper limit. When you surpass it, you unconsciously sabotage positive events to return to what's familiar. This can manifest physically or emotionally. The solution is to slowly acclimate yourself to your new normal, gradually shifting your baseline to a higher standard. Uprooting is when you constantly seek fresh starts, jumping from relationships or jobs, avoiding conflict resolution. It's comfortable to sprout, but not to blossom. Healing requires awareness, clarity about what you really want, and confronting discomfort instead of fleeing. Build healthy attachments and thrive, not just survive. Perfectionism isn't about wanting everything to be right. It's about avoiding vulnerability and unrealistic expectations. It holds you back from showing up and trying. The solution is to focus on progress, not perfection. Show up, learn from mistakes, and gradually move toward mastery. Limited emotional processing stunts growth. Avoiding uncomfortable feelings means avoiding risks and actions that could change your life. Healthy processing involves clarity, validation, and course correction. Allow yourself to fully express emotions, then determine how to change behavior for better outcomes. Your life is measured by outcomes, not intentions. Excuses and justifications provide momentary satisfaction but don't lead to accomplishment. Start measuring your days by productive actions, not reasons for inaction. Quantify your progress and stop accepting your own excuses. Disorganization creates chaos and distractions, serving an unconscious purpose. A clean, organized space is essential for thriving. Start slow, declutter one room or corner, implement routines, and arrange your space to work for you. Over time, you'll feel less stressed and more in control. Sometimes your dreams are adopted from others or outgrown. Fighting to want something you don't really desire leaves you empty. Self-sabotage can signal you're not on the right path. Let go of outdated ambitions and make decisions for the person you've become. Judging others sets up barriers to your own success. When you envy or villainize those who have what you want, you sabotage your own attempts. Practice non-judgment and compassion. Congratulate others and open yourself to receiving what you desire. Pride can lead to unhealthy decisions, staying in wrong relationships, or refusing to change. Overcome pride by seeing yourself honestly, acknowledging imperfections, and opening up to growth. Guilt of succeeding is common, but remember, success is a tool to help yourself and others. Reframe your achievements as opportunities for positive impact. Fear of failing holds people back from trying new things or maintaining success. There's a difference between failing because you're daring and failing from negligence. Failure is inevitable, but it's better to fail by trying than by never attempting. Separate these experiences and embrace growth through action. Downplaying success is a way to avoid feeling peaked or threatening others. Instead, acknowledge and appreciate your accomplishments. Progress is ongoing. When one part of your life improves, it radiates out to everything else. Stand firmly in your pride and let achievements equip you for the future. Unhealthy habits are the most common way people sabotage success. Define health on your own terms, what makes you feel best. Gradually establish habits that work for your lifestyle. Make it easy to succeed. And recondition yourself to prefer behaviors that move your life forward. True self-care is meeting your needs, not just distracting from problems.